Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this episode of Seb Plays. Today I'll be looking at a game that has soft launched in New Zealand and Australia, Assassin's Creed Identity. For those not aware, it is not uncommon for developers, particularly game developers, to release their game early in New Zealand and Australia as a way of getting early feedback before a worldwide release. The games are typically pretty much completed by the time this happens, with a couple of updates happening before the inevitable worldwide release. As you can see, the game actually downloads a majority of content within the app. On the App Store, the game clocks in at 81.8 megabytes and is universal. However, once you're in the app, you promptly reach this screen which starts a countdown from 250 megabytes. One can only assume this is so anyone willing to download while not on Wi-Fi can get past Apple's 100 megabyte mobile data limit and then download the remainder of content within the app. The game itself is beautiful, and it is at this point, I must confess, I'm not a console gamer and this is my first foray into Assassin's Creed games, as you'll soon discover. I've actually had this game sitting on my iPad for a while. It wasn't until I bought a Mad Catz CTRLI controller from now on that I felt an urge to actually play the game. I'll talk more about my thoughts on the controller in a later video, so keep watching out for that one. You're instantly taken to a tutorial where the game shows you what each button does. Unfortunately, it doesn't specify what each button corresponds to on your controller does, so this is something you just kind of have to figure out through trial and error. You quickly discover that killing enemies is as easy as sneaking up on them and stabbing them or button bashing them to death. Nothing outrageously hard. The best part of the game is definitely climbing up walls and running along rooftops, although I'll burst any potential bubbles now and I'll let you know at this point, there is no open world for you to run around and discover the hidden beauty of undiscovered roofs. One of the best part of this game is the graphics. It's definitely up there with some of the best graphics I've yet to see on the iPad, and it's no surprise to me that it requires an iPhone 5 or iPad 3 or later to run. This is a free-to-play game with in-app purchases available to buy currency that can be used to unlock levels, level up skills faster, and buy costumes for your character, or characters if that's what you choose to spend your in-game currency on. You can play this game without buying the in-app purchases, however I found myself hitting a paywall eventually. I'm not sure what the situation is on other Assassin's Creed games, but you can't just run up any wall. You can only run up walls that have a white arrow pointing up as you near them. This also applies to jumping from rooftop to rooftop. I found it slightly annoying sometimes when I would get a white arrow over a tiny ledge, then my assassin would clamber up a small step like he's trying not to step on the cracks, avoiding breaking any backs or something like that. It's kind of ironic because you can jump from the tallest height you can find and he lands without taking any damage. I guess it's the little things in life that get you down. I also find it odd that you can kill an enemy and the general public in plain view don't bat an eyelid. The people of Firenze in 1515 were a hardy bunch. But back to the actual game, there is no real story as far as I could tell. There is some text during the loading screens that gives a vague reason as to why you're going to kill that random guard or race some guy around the rooftops. This is not necessarily a bad thing, it is what it is. I can't see Ubisoft hoping to make some mega profits from the game, more a way to bring in fans of the console games, make their money back from in-app purchases, potentially win some new fans to the series, and perhaps I'm being optimistic here, but maybe just show off what they can actually do on the iOS platform. It is certainly not a bad game to show off the graphics potential of the newer generation iOS devices. One thing I am unsure of is the so-called Helix menu system or database or whatever it is. I'm not sure if this is a common feature between Assassin's Creed games, but if I had to describe it to anyone unfamiliar with it, which could well be the majority of you, it's like the menu system syncs to a cloud database. For example, when you finish a mission, it appears to be loading, then says mission synchronized, or when first loading up your character, it says synchronizing with the Helix, transferring information. Maybe I missed something, but it feels like the game menu and save data is a pretend cloud database thingy that is actually a cloud save database thingy. I don't know. Maybe one of you out there really knows, please let me know if you do. One thing I have learned recently is that the game does rely on some external servers, so perhaps I have just answered my own question, but I'll explain that further shortly. Onto the missions, they vary in difficulty, ranging from did I really just finish that mission to that was slightly annoying, I'll get it on the second try. So basically, from what I've played, it's not a hard game. The majority of missions involve assassinating a single person. Hardly surprising when you take the title into consideration. However, it's the orange dot that shows you exactly where that person is that sort of kills any potential difficulty. Sometimes it's a case of obtaining some documents. Again, simply follow the orange dot. This is made slightly more difficult in the later stages when you aren't allowed to be seen when in the vicinity of your target, which then turns into a game of secretly kill off all the people in the vicinity of your target before killing your actual target. What makes this slightly more achievable is the fact that the guards don't mind seeing their guard friends dead on the floor, just as long as they don't see you doing the actual deed. From there you usually have to leave the danger zone and then become anonymous or lose your wanted level for the GTA fans out there. I am generalising here, the missions do vary slightly. The one where you race a guy around the place comes to mind, like racing Cooper the Quick in Mario 64. All in all, I find the controls nice and simple, but again, I played with an MFI controller, so I can't comment on the touch controls. Perhaps I'll play a few missions with the touch controls and comment them in part 2. The game is fairly simple, however I did reach the paywall after my 8th mission. I needed to level up to level 7 in order to unlock the next stage. This meant I had to go back and replay levels in order to gain XP and the in-game currency needed to proceed. This was fine by me and going swimmingly until today when the app was updated to version 1.2. After updating, I went to play the game and when I hit the loading screen, I got no further. After a round of 3 minutes of trying to load, an error message pops up with the only option to retry. I tried deleting and re-downloading the app, but once I hit the in-app download page, it tries to load but fails. I also tried downloading on my phone but with the same result. My internet connection is working fine, so I can only assume it's the Helix servers or whatever they actually are. Which takes me to now. Unfortunately, I can't proceed further in the game. I'm sure it'll be fixed very shortly, but until then, this is where I'll have to leave it. I'll complete the game and leave my final thoughts in part 2 with some extra footage. That's all for now. Thanks for watching and don't forget to hit subscribe. I've got some great videos coming up, so keep on the lookout for that. And let me know your thoughts in the comments section. My name is Seb and you've been watching me play. I'll see you next time.